You didn't click on this by chance. You didn't stumble into this word out of curiosity. You were summoned. You were drawn by a divine signal because heaven has been watching, and now it speaks. Listen carefully. Your name has been mentioned in the realm of glory, not in judgment, but in divine remembrance. Because there comes a moment in every person's life when God says, enough is enough. And that moment, beloved child of God, is now. This message is not information. It is activation. It is the breaking of delay. It is the interruption of lack. It is the confirmation of every secret prayer you've whispered when no one was watching. This is a holy announcement. The financial drought ends here. The season of survival is over, and the windows of heaven have opened over your name. For a long time, you have stretched pennies like loaves. You've poured from empty jars and smiled through silent storms. You've calculated every coin, not because you lacked faith, but because your reality demanded miracles that never seemed to show up on time. But today, heaven is standing up, and heaven has declared, it's your turn. This word may feel too good to be true, because you've grown used to just enough, used to making it to the end of the month with just a flicker of hope and a mountain of concern. You've waited. You've sacrificed. You've sown tears where others harvested praise. But God was watching. Every tear, it became oil. Every sleepless night, a seed. Every time you chose trust over panic, a divine transaction was made. And today, the account is being released. This is not hype. This is not false hope. This is heaven's reward for your hidden obedience. You thought no one saw you praying in the dark. You thought your generosity in seasons of lack went unnoticed. You thought your integrity in financial temptation didn't matter. But God saw, and now He is moving. Heaven didn't suggest this breakthrough. Heaven ordered it. There is a document in the spirit realm, sealed, signed, and delivered, that has your name, your need, and your reward written on it. This isn't wishful thinking. It's not emotional hype. This is a prophetic transaction from God's heart to your house. And while you're listening right now, something is shifting. Angels are moving. Provision is being rerouted. Connections are being awakened. Ideas are about to find you. And the limitations that have fenced your finances for years are about to snap open like prison doors. But listen, this miracle won't come because of your performance. It will come because of your faith. God is not looking at your credit score. He's looking at your heart posture. Because what's being released isn't just money. It's rest. It's clarity. It's divine strategy. It's the peace that money could never buy, but lack always tries to destroy. Say it aloud in your spirit. The season of survival is over. You have been in the wilderness for too long. And now, you're crossing over. Not by striving. Not by manipulation. Not by hustle. By faith. This is the season where ideas become income. Where faith becomes favor. Where obedience opens the overflow. And it begins right here. Right now. Because while you listen, something in you is awakening. A shaking. A confirmation. A whisper you can't explain, but your soul knows it's real. Don't disconnect. What's coming next contains the 3 prophetic keys that will unlock this miracle in your life. The enemy wants you to doubt it, to scroll away, to say, this isn't for me. But that voice is fear, and fear has lied to you for too long. This word is for you, because God is not just changing your finances. He's restoring your hope. Pause for a moment. Inhale slowly. Now exhale and lean in. What you're about to hear is not just a principle. It's a key, and keys unlock things. This first key, it may seem simple, but it is the most powerful act you can perform in the face of uncertainty. Believe beyond what you see. Faith is not a suggestion in the kingdom. It is a currency. And right now, heaven is offering you an exchange. God says, give me your belief, and I will release my abundance. But this belief cannot be surface level. This belief must live in your bones. The kind of belief that whispers yes, even while your bills say no. The kind of belief that prepares the table before the door is opened. The kind of belief that sows in famine because it trusts the voice, not the conditions. If you've ever asked, why has my financial breakthrough taken so long? It's not because heaven was ignoring you. It's because God was building your capacity to carry what He's about to pour. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. Because God will never give you a flood if your foundation can't hold it. And belief. True belief is that foundation. There's a pattern in Scripture, one that repeats like a rhythm. Before God multiplied, someone had to move. Before heaven opened, someone had to believe. Abraham believed, and nations were born. The widow poured oil, and debt was erased. The crowd sat down, and fish multiplied in baskets. Why? Because miracles don't respond to logic. They respond to faith in motion. Right now, God isn't waiting for your perfection. He's not waiting for your resume. He's waiting for your agreement. Your yes. Your internal, undeniable, I still believe. The kind of belief that says, even if I have no savings, even if the account is negative, even if I've been denied again and again, I still believe He is Jehovah Jireh. I still believe the oil hasn't run out. I still believe He's the God who feeds me in famine. This is not a fantasy. This is covenant. God is not teasing you with promises. He is training you to trust beyond the visible. Because what's about to happen in your life? It won't make sense on paper. It won't align with what your bank app says. It will only make sense in the language of heaven. Faith. Listen, this miracle is not just about money. It's about what money can never fix, the stress that keeps you up at night, the fear of not being able to provide, the cycles of survival that silence your creativity. God's miracle is bigger than a transfer. It's a transformation. And belief is the beginning. Because when you believe, your vision shifts. When you believe, you stop thinking like a slave and start dreaming like a steward. You stop saying, "How will I make it?" And you start declaring, "Who will God send? What door will He open?" Your faith activates divine strategy. Suddenly, ideas begin to spark. Suddenly, doors you couldn't see before come into view. Suddenly, what you once called delay reveals itself as divine protection. God never forgot you. He was preserving you until you could steward what was meant for your name. You're not late. You are right on time, heaven's time. Child of God, hear this. Faith is not just for survival. It is for dominion. And God didn't bring you through all this fire just to keep you scraping by. He is the God of overflow. He is the God who brings manna in the wilderness, coin in the fish's mouth, favor in famine, and strategy in stillness. But before you see the flood, you must believe like it's already raining. This is your first key. Believe beyond what you see. Speak it out loud. Even in lack, I believe. Even in silence, I believe. Even in delay, I believe. Because your belief isn't a wish, it's a signal. And heaven responds to faith like thunder responds to lightning. You have just unlocked the first key. Stay with this word. In the next part, you will receive the second prophetic key, the one that will unlock connections, provision, and the movement of angelic assistance. Don't disconnect. Something sacred is building. Now that you've unlocked the first key, belief beyond what you see, you're ready to receive the second. And this key, it's not about trying harder. It's about aligning deeper. Because the financial miracle that's coming into your life isn't just falling from the sky. It's already been dispatched, and now it needs to find you, the real you. Not the version that's stressed, striving, and surviving, but the version that knows how to align with the supernatural flow of heaven. Let this settle in your spirit. I don't chase money. I align with God's provision. There's a difference between striving in fear and receiving in alignment. The second prophetic key is this. Provision flows through spiritual positioning. That means you don't need to manipulate blessings. You need to meet them. You don't need to force favor. You need a position for it. You don't need to beg for overflow. You need to expect it. Heaven has already released what you've been praying for. The problem isn't that the miracle isn't real. The problem is that for years, you've been positioned in doubt, disappointment, and disconnection. But now the shift begins. We must stop thinking of miracles as random events. In God's economy, miracles are movements. They are structured, strategic, and timed. But they're also attracted, not controlled. Provision flows to order. Think about it. When God rained manna in the desert, He gave instructions. When Jesus fed the 5,000, the people had to sit down. When a widow received oil, she had to borrow vessels. They weren't blessed because they were lucky. They were blessed because they followed the pattern. You want the miracle to hit your bank account, but God wants it to enter your habits, your thinking, your posture. That means you must stop expecting overflow while sowing in inconsistency. You must stop speaking lack while asking for abundance. You must stop praying for multiplication while staying planted in fear. Provision does not follow confusion. It follows alignment. Let's be real. You've prayed. You've fasted. You've waited. But now God is whispering, will you align? Here are 3 sacred places where He's calling you to adjust your position. Stop cursing your future with your own mouth. No more. I'll never get ahead. Money always runs out. Nothing ever works for me. Your tongue is either building heaven's economy in your life or empowering hell's confusion. Declare instead, I'm aligned with God's flow. My home is a magnet for miracle resources. God's provision is locating me now. Lack has a sound. Poverty has a focus. Scarcity has a vision, and it's always rooted in fear. God says, look up. Lift your eyes above your bills, beyond your current income, past the limits of what your family ever told you was possible. See what I see? You're not in a famine. You're in a funnel, a divine funnel, where resources are already moving toward your name. Small doors open big vaults. Before God releases much, He checks how you handle the little. Are you faithful over the few dollars do you tithe? Even when it feels risky, do you give? Even when it stretches you, faithfulness and famine attracts favor and overflow. You may not see it, but angels are moving. Assignments have been given. Packages are being delivered. Spiritual transactions are in motion. But they respond to alignment, not begging. This is the second key. Provision follows positioning. So posture your heart. Lift your expectations. Clean your confession. Shake off scarcity. You're not a beggar. You're an heir. You're not trying to earn favor. You're aligned for release. God is not teasing you with the idea of abundance. He's training you to walk in it. And the more you align, the clearer the path becomes. The ideas start to flow. The divine connections start to appear. The peace replaces panic. You'll stop watching the clock and start watching the cloud. Because where the cloud goes, your provision follows. You've unlocked key 2. In the next part, I will reveal the third and final prophetic key, the act of faith that releases everything already prepared for you. Now that you've believed beyond what you saw, now that you've aligned your heart, your posture, your declaration, now you're ready for the third and final key, obedient action. Not random movement, not impulsive striving, but a prophetic act of faith that declares, I trust you so much, God, that I'll move as if it's already done. Because the miracles you've prayed for, they're not just waiting on heaven, they're waiting on your participation. Faith without movement is just fantasy, but faith that walks, faith that gives, faith that sows when it doesn't make sense, that's when angels move. That's when heaven's storehouses open. That's when what you believe becomes what you see. The third key is this. What you do next determines how fast your miracle manifests. Let's be real. Obedience doesn't always feel powerful. Sometimes it feels terrifying. Giving when you don't have enough. Helping when you feel unseen. Sowing when you're still and need yourself. But that's what makes it holy. Because obedience in the absence of clarity is where faith finds its fire. Think about it. The widow who gave her last cake to Elijah didn't have security. She had instruction. The disciples who cast their net again didn't have logic. They had a word. The boy with 5 loaves didn't have strategy. He had surrender. And in each case, the act released overflow. Not because it made sense, but because it was done in radical trust. God is saying, I don't need you to do something big. I need you to do something obedient. Your miracle is waiting for your response. The truth is, many never receive what God prepared. Not because it wasn't real, but because they couldn't let go of control. God said give, but fear said wait. God said move, but comfort said stay. God said trust, but logic said hold back. So they settled for spiritual crumbs instead of the feast that was fully set. But that's not your story. Because today, you're breaking that pattern. You're not giving out of pressure. You're giving out of alignment. You're not acting out of desperation. You're acting out of expectation. That's the difference. That's the power. That's what heaven responds to. The miracle has always been there, but obedient faith is the door. So what does this act of faith look like? It could be sowing a seed, even when the amount doesn't make sense. Calling someone God told you to reconnect with. Starting the business idea he gave you long ago. Tithing first, even when the bills are louder than your faith. Writing the plan down, even when you don't know how to start. Declaring out loud, "This is the month God breaks the back of lack in my life." The act isn't what impresses God. The trust behind it does. Your faith doesn't just move mountains. It moves miracles. Because when God sees you obey without all the answers, he responds with favor that makes no sense. Right now, yes, right now, something has shifted because you didn't just hear the word. You received it. You aligned with it. And now you're preparing to act on it. That's when the heavens open. That's when angelic messengers move into motion. That's when divine provision, the kind that's customized for your name, your need, your assignment, finds its way into your life. It doesn't respond to panic. It doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to faith in motion. So declare this with your full chest. God, I will move as if the miracle is already mine. I will walk like the provision has already been sent. I will give, plan, build, and believe because I know you never lie. This is your third key. This is the final doorway. And now, the miracle is en route. But there is still one final moment of breakthrough. You've unlocked the 3 prophetic keys. Faith that believes beyond what you see. Alignment with divine provision. Obedient action that unlocks overflow. Now it's time, not to wait, not to wonder, but to walk. Because the heavens are not just cracked open. They are pouring. You didn't come this far for a motivational message. You came to receive a miracle release. God has not just heard your cry. He has moved. And a miracle is already in motion. But before you step into the overflow, God wants to do one last thing: break the cycle. The generational cycle. The mental cycle. The spiritual cycle of poverty, delay, and limitation. Because what you're walking into isn't a moment. It's a new dimension. This is more than income. It's inheritance. Let's be honest. You've seen this cycle before, struggling to keep up while others thrive. Praying hard but still falling short. Getting ahead, only to lose it again. Feeling cursed, even when you're obedient. But the Spirit of God says, you are not cursed. You are called. You are not overlooked. You are marked. You're not late. You're right on schedule. And today, the cycle breaks. Because this financial miracle doesn't just come to bring you money. It comes to restore your mind. The lies must die. I'll always be broke. I'll always be behind. This is just my reality. I'm not meant for more. No. Enough of that. From this day forward, your declaration is, my provision is from God. My inheritance is secure. My breakthrough is inevitable. I don't chase blessing. Blessing chases me. Heaven has released it. Now you must declare it, because your mouth is the final gate. Speak this aloud. Now, with full faith, I receive the economic miracle assigned to me. I'm aligned with God's divine provision. I break every cycle of lack, debt, and fear. I walk in financial peace, divine strategy, and holy favor. God is bringing connections, contracts, solutions, and supply. No more scarcity. No more anxiety. No more wondering when. It is happening now. Say it again. It is happening now. And as you speak it, feel it. The weight lifting, the clarity arriving, the clouds shifting, the provision flooding toward your name. Because miracles move at the speed of belief, and yours just accelerated. This isn't the end. This is the door. The moment everything starts to change. But remember, this wasn't just about God blessing you with money. It was about blessing you with vision, peace, rest, wisdom, impact. Because you're not receiving overflow just for yourself. You are receiving to disrupt generations of financial bondage in your bloodline. You are receiving to sponsor purpose. You are receiving to fund your assignment. And so now, stand tall. Lift your head. Know that God has sent this word specifically for you. This message was never random. You were drawn here because your name was written on heaven's provision list. So declare this one last time. This miracle is mine. This moment is real. This shift is permanent. And I will never go back to living like I'm not chosen.